What is up, my friends? How are we? You are very welcome along to Monday night's late night agenda. I hope today finds you all in good spirits. I mean, why wouldn't you? United are 12th in the league right now. Actually, I'm a liar. As I sit here, they're 13th in the league because Bournemouth are winning. So that pushes them down a little bit further. Tonight we're going to be ending the debate around Salah and Hazard because one of these gentlemen has admitted that the other is better than him. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to look into Liverpool's XG so far this season. We're going to talk about Gary Neville's comments and ask, are we really title contenders? I've seen somebody in the chat there already moaning, saying, well, look, we lost to Forest. Yes, but you're not going to win every game in the Premier League season, are you? So we'll talk about it all tonight and we'll see how everybody's feeling. For what it's worth, I think we probably are getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, thinking of ourselves as title contenders. But why not? We're supposed to dream, aren't we? So, let's start off with the first super chat of the day from Charlie. Thank you, mate. Charlie simply just wants us to drug test Gary Neville. He's on some dodgy stuff. Look, I just fear for Gary Neville that he's going to lose credibility. And that's... I say that with a heavy heart because honestly I think he's a great pundit. I've said this so many times. When he sticks to talking about football and removes the Manchester United bias from whatever it is he's doing, I think he's a really good pundit. But he just does seem to have this delusion around us and Manchester United. Delusion around us that he always underrates us. And around United, well, look, you've seen his predictions for the start of the season. So, yeah, I just don't know if he has any credibility when speaking about us and Manchester United. When he's got lots of other topics to talk about, I think he's a very well able to articulate himself pundit who gets across some very good views. But with United and Liverpool, he's just away with the fairies for me. Right, our objective is and always will be top three. Well, I would disagree, mate. I would disagree. I think your objective when you start the league, if you're a club like Liverpool, Arsenal, United, City, is to try and win the league. That should be your objective. European qualification, particularly Champions League qualification, should be the bare minimum for me for the season. But that being said, I do agree that we're probably a top three team right now. You know, if we are to stay in the title race, I think it will take a lot of stuff to go right for us. And certainly, we have bigger tests ahead in October and November time. What's with the song which got played earlier? I don't understand what you mean, what's with it? It's a song. There's no hidden motive behind it or anything, mate. Someone made it, sent it to us, made it with AI. So we thought, you know what, let's use it. And I think it's a nice, calming, easy way to start the stream personally. It mightn't be to everybody's taste, but I like it. Right. Do we need to sell Mohamed Salah? Let's get this one out of the way. We won't be selling Salah because one, he's got less than a year to go on his deal. And two, even if we did have somewhere to sell him to, him and his agent wouldn't agree to a sale because they would be costing themselves a lot of money. So I think the idea of selling Salah is gone. It's a matter of will he renew or do we leave him or lose him, at the end of the season. And honestly, to that question, I don't have the answer. I do want to apologise to everyone, by the way. David Lynch's Wi-Fi let him down today, so was unable to do the video today, which of course happens to everybody that relies on the broadband for their work. So again, I just want to apologise. We didn't get that video up today. We should be speaking with David again later in the week, so we will go through all the questions that we had ready for him. And I get it. I mean, I've had loads of issues with Wi-Fi myself, and ironically, we both have the same Wi-Fi provider, so maybe there's something to that. I don't know. At half-time, it is 3-0 to Bournemouth in that one. Wow. That's a pretty comprehensive victory so far tonight there for Bournemouth. 3-0 up. What's this one? Oh, yeah, there's lots of stuff I want to go through tonight as well about how long before Ten Hag loses to the lettuce. We're going to talk about that tonight as well. I mean, the smart money right now is definitely going on the Anfield Agenda lettuce to beat and outlast Eric Ten Hag. Right, so let's talk about Opta for a little quick second because Sky Sports put up something about the top six predictor or the predictor of the top six with their chances of winning the Premier League. And I thought it was an interesting stat because right now, according to Opta, Manchester City are favourites to win the Premier League, and Opta believe Manchester City, as of this moment in time, have a 73.38% chance to win the league. So very, very, very high probability, according to Opta, that Manchester City go on to win the league. Arsenal are the second favourites, according to the statisticians at Opta. They say that Arsenal have a 17 0.16% chance of winning the Premier League as things stand. Liverpool, they reckon, have a 9.06% chance, so under 10% chance for us to win the league. After that, you're really down into the lower levels. I mean, Chelsea 0.28, Aston Villa 0.06, and Fulham just 0. So, of the current top 6, they really do believe it's Manchester City's to lose, then Arsenal, and then Liverpool. Again, your thoughts on this are always welcome. Do you think that that's a little bit optimistic for Man City with the Rodri injury, perhaps? I mean, they have won, 4 on the bounce now, so you can understand why they're favourites, but I think that Rodri injury will certainly have a big impact on them.
What's Forest's chances?
Forest's chances of winning this league are about the same chances of you being married to a 13-stone man by tomorrow.
Oh, okay. 0.00?
Yeah, pretty much, love. 0.0000. Recurring.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Trent so far this season? Mixed bag is what I would say. Certainly don't think we've seen the best of Trent Alexander-Arnold yet. But what I would say, Lord Shan, to Trent's defence and about his defending, I think his defending has improved this season. I think it's weirdly the other end of the pitch where we're not seeing the usual from Trent this season. But I think defensively, particularly away against AC Milan, up against Rafael, I was quite impressed with him. So I think he's done well on that side. But definitely we want more goals and assists because we know what Trent's capable of. Stevie Boy, how are you, my friend? Said, is Dom's version of Jordan Henderson, runs around, covers the ground, but his touch and creation lets him down. Is he in trouble when Elliott comes back? Thoughts? So Dominic Szoboszlai certainly seems to be flavour of the month for a minute, mate, amongst Liverpool fans. And you know what? I will get back to it in a minute, but I've got to do one playing of an ad before we get into tonight's stream in its entirety. So bear with me, I've got to get this done. I'll be back in 86 seconds, but until then, just a little word from our sponsor Surfshark. So I'll see you in 86 seconds. This video is sponsored by Surfshark, the best VPN on the market. Surfshark is an app or browser extension that allows you to change your location to access websites in other countries and keep you safe and secure from hackers. Using Surfshark, we here in Ireland can access other countries' Netflix libraries or other streaming platforms like DAZN in Spain for all those important Premier League games. Surfshark keeps you safe and private by protecting everything you do online. Everything. When your device connects to the internet, all that information is, in a way, blurred out. Surfshark is particularly useful for keeping you safe from being hacked if you use public Wi-Fi. Let's say you're in a cafe, you're at college, you're out and about, they've got you covered. Surfshark allows you to use one subscription on unlimited devices, meaning you can share your account with friends or family or that neighbour who's a little bit cheap. On top of all of this, Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee. You can also upgrade to Surfshark One, which includes the VPN, an alert system for breaches related to your data, such as emails and credit cards, and an antivirus software for your desktop. Our sign-up offer gives you Surfshark VPN for a little over €2 a month. Simply scan the QR code on screen right now or use the link in the description and enter the code Anfield Agenda at checkout. Right, my friends, thank you so much for your patience with that, and thank you to our sponsor Surfshark as well. So, to get back to finish and answering Stevie Boy's question, he certainly seems to be the one, mate, that Liverpool fans are questioning at the minute. And you know what? I think it's fair that Dominic Szoboszlai is questioned because we know what the boy can do. I think he'll come good personally, but he needs to remove some of the inconsistencies around his game. Now, it might take a bit of getting time to the way Slot wants the system to play, but certainly adding that goals and assists to it is probably something that I think most of us would agree he probably can improve on. Roosba, thank you so much for your super chat. Said, Klopp said it well. Why would we listen to Neville when he's proven that he struggles to judge players and his remit as a coach, Valencia, anyone? Look, I think Neville knows what he's talking about with regards to football a lot of the time. And genuinely, I like his work. But I don't think he has any... What's the phrase I'm looking for here? I don't think he can think too critically of United. I don't think he can take his rose-tinted glasses off or remove his inbuilt dislike for Liverpool. So I don't really pay much attention to Gary Neville when he's speaking about United or when he's speaking about Liverpool. Because him predicting United to finish above us in the league, I think is laughable. Now, I don't know whether I'm misjudging this because I'm a Liverpool fan and I just defend my team. But I do think that prediction of us to finish outside the Champions League spots with United to be ahead of us, I just don't see how that makes any sense. I don't see how he can back up that argument because United under Ten Hag have been just completely inconsistent. They have won some domestic trophies, but inconsistency is the word I would use. And multiple heavy defeats as well as United manager. So I just don't think he has credibility when speaking about us or United. But for the rest of his football knowledge, I think he's very good at what he does. Right. Varela. A little bit on Alan Varela because, of course, Liverpool were linked with Alan Varela. And Porto right now are in advanced negotiations, according to Transfer Sector anyway, with Alan Varela to renew his contract. After his transfer to Liverpool didn't happen, Porto and the player's agent are discussing a salary increase, but his contract will continue until 2028. No talk about a difference of release clause or a higher release clause or anything in there. That's the information that we currently have to hand. That they're close to agreeing a new deal with him, but that's all I can say to you at the moment. I don't know if this impacts us in any way, shape or form. Foxy said, why is Szoboszlai getting roasted lately? Get behind him. I know, it bugs me, mate. I've been saying this for quite a few weeks now. We're winning, and yet people are still finding things to moan about. And I don't understand it. Yes, we can improve, but we can improve right across the board. We can improve defensively, we can improve going forward, we can improve the numbers from midfield, but we're winning. And let the manager figure it out. I think a lot of people are still forgetting as well that we have changed. We've got no Jurgen anymore. In comes Arne Slot. Players take a little bit of time to get used to these things. And it's also going to be a very stop-start part to the season because we've got the September international break, we've got the October international break coming up, and then, of course, we've got another one in November. So, yeah, and add to that, he's been getting quite a few whoopings with Hungary as well. They're beaten 5-0 by Germany recently, didn't do great in the Euros. So I think maybe Dominic Szoboszlai's confidence has taken a little bit of a knock. And I would like us to give him a big virtual hug and get behind him. Like Foxy said, get behind him because I think we know what he's capable of. It's not like he's come in not showing any glimpses of the player that we've seen at Leipzig, but he does need to become more consistent. So, the preview went out earlier on. Love to know what you guys think of the team selection. If you haven't watched it, I'll quickly run through it for you. It was Alisson in goal, Trent at right back, Robbo at left back. I was bringing in Kwanzaa to play alongside Van Dijk just to give Ibu a rest. In midfield, I went for Gravenberch, McAllister and Jones. Again, the thought process being to give Dominic Szoboszlai a rest. Up top, I went Salah right, Lucho left, and I went for Chiesa through the middle personally. That was my attempt at a predicted 11, and I think I went with a 4-0 prediction. But Craig, he needs to be better. He does. I'm not denying he needs to be better, but I guess it's a matter of how we go about trying to help him. As fans, it's not going to help him if he goes on see social media where fans are slating him, Liverpool fans. That's not going to help him, is it? He's going to work on what he's going to work on the training ground. And Dominic Szoboszlai and Arne Slot will know that he needs to improve. So I guess if it starts impacting us and costing us results, then this becomes a bigger conversation. But right now, I think we're winning, and let us work the kinks out while we're winning is what I'm trying to say. Hayden said, Dom gives his all, works his socks off, that's all that matters. Any player that gives his all deserves to be a red. I applaud you for that, mate. I agree. Fans will forgive a lot if they see a player putting the graft in. And I'm with you. I see that with Dominic Szoboszlai. I see him putting the effort in. His numbers, if you look at them, the ground he covers in every game, it's not like he's just standing around doing nothing. He looks like he's just lacking that little bit of confidence for me. From the outside, that's the way I'd view it anyway. Joseph said, morning from Australia, Craig. Thanks for making the early mornings worth it. Thank you for being here with us, bro. I appreciate your support. Do you know FC Twente also sing You'll Never Walk Alone? I didn't know that. I knew Celtic did it. Obviously, I knew Dortmund did it. And I think there's a club another club that sings it as well somewhere else. But there you go. FC Twente as well. Do you think Kefren Thuram would have made much more sense than Szoboszlai? No. Again, if you gave me the option, personally, Ali, all over again, to pick between Kefren Thuram and Szoboszlai, I'm taking Szoboszlai. One other thing I would like to point out about Dominic Szoboszlai as well is, like, he's not even entered his prime yet as a player in age. So let's give him the season, and I think we'll have a conversation later in the season where we've seen more of what we know Dominic Szoboszlai is capable of. Like Carl and a few others in the chat, I'm a little bit confused as to why this narrative has suddenly started to appear around Szoboszlai. It's like we're trying to self-sabotage or something, you know. We're winning games of football. We might not be winning it in the way that we could with the panache and style that we would want, but we're winning games of football, and we've rebounded back with 3 victories since we were beaten by Forest. We went away, beat Milan, we won in the League Cup, we've won in the league. Actually, I think 4 victories, if I'm not mistaken, since that. So, as a Liverpool fan, sitting here right now, top of the Premier League table, looking forward to another Champions League game on Wednesday night, I'm a happy bunny. Always you want to improve, that's fair enough, but, you know, give me these headaches from the position that we're in right now. Who would you think would replace Robertson when he leaves? So again, Lord Shan, just working off a guess, you know, I'm thinking someone like ENQUIRIES, but it is a position I think is becoming more of a conversation point between Liverpool fans looking to life post Andy Robertson at Liverpool in the left back situation. Sorry, I'm just going through my notes here because there's something else I wanted to bring up. So, Virgil van Dijk, our captain, has been speaking a little bit on Ryan Gravenberch, and this is what he's had to say. Stay fit, keep going, stay grounded, and don't listen to the praise that much. He's playing with a lot of confidence and with and without the ball. He's very important with McAllister and Szoboszlai. It's a good triangle, and they are still growing and learning. Wise words from our captain, and he knows a good player when he sees one. He's certainly been around enough of them. Virgil van Dijk said, do I pay attention to the league table now? No. December is always a crucial month. The teams who go through that well, winning games and having no injuries, have a big chance to be successful. Let's see. And I think Arne Slot and Virgil van Dijk are right to kind of measure our expectations right now. Look, we have had a relatively easy start to the league. Let's be honest about that. It hasn't been the most difficult run of fixtures. But you still got to beat what's in front of you. And that Forest game aside, we've been near perfect this season. So right now, I think Liverpool fans should be optimistic, cautious, of course. You know, we don't want to think we're going to walk away with the league or anything. But, you know, don't feel negative about life. You know, Arne Slot's come in and started very, very well. Do you think Chambers or Scanlon get a chance at left back next season? Difficult to get a read on that situation yet with Arne coming in. So I really don't know what the answer would be. I'm just trying to be honest with you in my assessment on that one. So if Manchester United decided to sack Erik ten Hag, it would cost them around 17.5 million Great British pounds to fire Ten Hag, or about 21 million euro. Ouch. That's a lot of money to fire someone. Now, speaking about Gary Neville, he was speaking about Liverpool and their chances as title winners, and this is what he had to say in his own podcast. They're going to have a good season, it looks like, and maybe get Champions League football. Maybe, Gary? Maybe get Champions League football. I think even the most disillusioned Liverpool fan would feel that we're, you know, in a very good shape to get Champions League football next season. Going on, he said, I didn't feel like I was watching title winners against Wolves, being honest with you. They're well below Arsenal and City, but I don't think that's shocking anybody. I would respectfully disagree with Gary Neville saying we're well below Arsenal and City. Just look at our recent history against them. We've had to be shafted twice not to beat them both at Anfield, so they ended up in draws. You're looking at defensively this season, we've got the best defence in the Premier League so far. I know Arsenal have a great defence, and I'm not trying to say that they don't, but let's work off the numbers from the games played so far. And I think we're up there at the top, if not very close to being the highest scoring team as well. So I don't understand where he sees this mythical huge gap between us and Arsenal or us and City. I don't understand it. I think he's deluding himself because he doesn't want us to be at least on the same level as those two. I think if you're going to talk about Arsenal as title contenders, you have to include Liverpool in that conversation. That's just the way I look at it anyway. Harry said, what would be your ranking on who's most important to sign a contract extension out of the ones who have less than a year left? It's a tough. Trent to be number one, Harry, because of his age. So Trent to be number one. After that, I'd probably say Virgil number two, because I think it's going to be harder to replace that calibre of centre-back than it would be to find a forward who could contribute to the goals we need to score. Nobody's going to do Mo's numbers. No one's going to do them. So I think if I was putting it in my priority, I would say Trent number one, Virgil number two, and Salah number three. Because I think we could find a player to come in and complement the attack. Because look at who else we have already at the club. You know, Jota, Darwin, Chiesa, Diaz, Gakpo. Jadon Dan's coming through as well. Young Kumas out on loan doing quite well. Ben Doak out now at Middlesbrough doing quite well. So I think that's we've a bigger scope to bring someone in there. I think if you lost Virgil, that's a huge gap that needs to be filled right now. So yeah, I would say Trent, Virgil and Mo. Alisson linked to Bayern. I'd seen that last night. Again, it's tough to know what the situation is with Alisson, isn't it? You know, we know that we've got Mamardashvili coming in next season. But other than that, we don't know how to interpret that situation, right? Is this going to mean Alisson may move on? I don't know, is the honest answer with you. Again, these are things I will ask David when I speak with him later on in the week. But I think if it was Bayern to come in, would they pay what Liverpool are going to ask? Because remember, he's in a decent contractual situation. So I don't know if Bayern will be able to pay what Liverpool would want. But again, this is a situation that I guess we're going to have to deal with at some point in the future, but I don't know when. Canale is another contract extension that needs resolving. Yep, absolutely. He's inside his final 2 years now. I would agree with you. So yeah, that needs to be done. You can make an argument about Lucho. Does he deserve a pay rise? You know, because you don't want him feeling a little bit aggrieved that he's on a lower wage than those around him. Contract length-wise, he's got just under 3 years to go, so the club have a little bit of wiggle room there and that. But you don't want him becoming disillusioned with seeing others around him getting pay rises and being on higher money. And so far this season, he's been probably our form attacker, so you got to keep an eye on that situation there as well. Excuse me. What are your thoughts on Mamardashvili? Genuinely really excited, Mark. I think I can understand why Liverpool made the move for him. If you're going to try to replace Alisson Becker, I think trying to do it after he leaves or when he's close to leaving is going to be a very, 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 very difficult task. But to get ahead of it like we have and get Mamardashvili over the line, I think it's really astute business by the club. And, you know, as frustrated as I was with the transfer business this summer, the two things we did do, I can totally understand why the club did them. And Mamardashvili looks as close to a guarantee as a top-level keeper as I think we could possibly hope for. And the price tag, he was putting up similar numbers to Alisson when we bought him from Roma, and we got him for a lot less at a very good age as well. What is he now, 23, 24? So it's an interesting signing, but he'll have some way to go to live up to the standard set by Alisson, who I think is the best goalkeeper in the world. QF Reds said, I like Aït-Nouri, looks quality and could be sensational for Liverpool, still young and in a better team, who knows? I agree. I mean, myself and David Lynch have had a little couple of chats offline before we start recording about Aït-Nouri, and I think we're both open to the idea of Liverpool signing him. I think it would be an astute piece of business to bring in Aït-Nouri. What I can't say to you right now off the top of my head is if that release clause that's in his deal is still active or not. I know there was one in there in and around 41, 42 million pounds, something like that. Troy said, Mamardashvili looks like an amazing shot stopper. Yes, and do you know what really impressed me about Mamardashvili's career and his journey so far? I think it was David Lynch that actually said this to me, but when he went into Valencia, he was their fourth choice when he came in. And not only has he dispatched all the other goalkeepers ahead of him, but he's continued to push on, had a great Euros as well. And I like it. I like the character behind him going in there, establishing himself, and already ready to come to a club like Liverpool. So it's an exciting signing, but it's also one tinged with a little bit of fear as well, because, you know, Alisson, you know, we don't know what's going to happen there. See Man City sniffing out around Zubamendi. See, I don't think he's the right fit for them. And this is what, whenever I see these Manchester City Zubamendi kind of links, I don't think it's the right fit for what they need to replace. You know, if you look at Rodri and what he brings to that City midfield, it's more of a physicality and a presence that I don't think Zubamendi has. So I don't think it would be a like-for-like type of replacement, which in my head means it doesn't really make sense. How's the cabbage doing? It's a lettuce, mate. It's a lettuce. And it's okay. It's still there. You know, it still remains to be seen who wins. The lettuce or Ten Hag. Who lasts longer? So, Eden Hazard had been asked via Sport Bible, who was better, you or Mo Salah? Now, all you little Hazard fanboys out there, listen to me and what I'm about to say. There's no more debate now around who's better, Salah or Hazard. He himself has been asked which one of them is better, and he answered honestly and said Salah. Game over, conversation over, stop hyping it up, stop trying to invent something that isn't there. Mohamed Salah is better than Hazard. Hazard himself has admitted it. I hope that puts an end to this ridiculous argument, because it is just ridiculous. Mohamed Salah, streets ahead, and confirmed by Hazard himself. So I hope now we can all agree who's the better player there. This answer of prime Hazard is nonsense. You can't be prime in patches. If you're going to have a prime, it has to be a prolonged period where you do solid numbers over a prolonged period, like Mohamed Salah. On his day, Eden Hazard was phenomenal. Absolutely. Put in one of the best away performances I've seen at Anfield, and was unplayable, but it wasn't consistent enough, and that was the problem with Hazard. He did it in flashes and bursts, but he never put up the level of consistency that we'd seen from the great man at Anfield. The real test for Ten Hag, said Ma B, will be that match against Brentford in mid-October. Craig, you may have brought your lettuce a bit too early. Well, we're moving on. If you outlast the lettuce, we're going to move on to something else after that. You know, it's going to be a constant piece of perishable food versus Eric Ten Hag. So I think potato is next up. Right, what else have we got? So, I wanted to talk about our XG for a minute, because Sky Sports have put up a very interesting stat this season about teams who are under and overperforming their XG. And I thought it made for some interesting reading. So I'm going to go through a couple of the big clubs for you and give you a little flavour of whether they're over or underachieving this season versus the chances that they've created. So Manchester United, their XG differential is minus 5.5. So Manchester United are underperforming their own XG by about 5.5 goals. Their expected XG is 10.55, and their XG differential is minus 5.55. So Manchester United are in the worst shape when it comes to underperforming their XG. Liverpool, we're doing pretty good. We're slightly in the minus, but not too bad. Our XG is 12.64. And our actual XG is just, what is it there? Minus 0.64. So half a goal or so. Just over a half a goal underperforming our XG. But if you look at it the other way, teams that are maybe overperforming their XG Arsenal are one of those teams that pop straight up. So Arsenal, as an example, have an XG of 10.28 and they're outperforming their XG by 1.72. So these things are just a little flavour, an indication of where teams are at a snapshot in time. But you can see there Arsenal's results and Arsenal's goal scoring is outperforming their XG a little bit by about 1.7 goals. Whereas United couldn't hit a barn door with a banjo, for want of a better phrase. What is XG? Expected goals. So basically the statisticians at Opta and all of these different statistical companies basically look at a situation and view whether the player should have scored or not. And they call that expected goals. So if Liverpool play in a game, they will always have an XG, and then you look at the goals that we've scored and think, have we scored more than the XG said we should have scored, or have we scored less than the XG? For instance, the chance that Dominic Szoboszlai missed against Bournemouth, or excuse me, was it against Bournemouth? Yeah, I think it was against Bournemouth. No, who do we play last in the league? Who do we beat last in the league? Was that Bournemouth? Whoever we beat last in the league. Anyway, my memory's gone already. Dominic Szoboszlai should have scored that 0.9... Wolves, thank you. 0.91. He should have scored that goal, basically. It was 9 times out of 10 that ball ends up in the back of the net. And he didn't. So that would affect our overall XG. But that's what XG means. Expected goals. Expected saves. You know, it's just a new modern statistic that, you know, boomers like me are still getting used to. But any other questions like that, my man, there's no stupid questions, so please feel free to throw them in. If I can answer them, I'll answer them. If I can't, maybe I'll put it into the chat and ask the chat. But yeah, expected goals, basically. Start, bench and sell Salah, Hazard, Ozil. I'm going in the order that you've put them in, exactly as you've written it. Start Salah, bench Hazard, sell Ozil. What's the defensive version of XG? I guess there is a stat for it. I'm sure somebody knows the abbreviation of it in the chat, but this idiot here, I don't know, mate. Yes, as Mishu said, XG basically measures the quality of the chance. That's a very good way of explaining it. So there you are. We've been linked with another player, actually, from Palmeiras, another centre-back. According to Mario Cortejena, he said Liverpool are keeping tabs on Palmeiras centre-back Vitor Reis, spelled R-E-I-S, if you're interested in that one. Is there any chance we can get an Anfield Agenda Pro Clubs going? No. For me, no. No computer games for me, dude. It's not my cup of tea. We're linked with everyone. I know. And I'm not putting much faith in it because we've been linked with a load of centre-backs from South America and none of them have ever led to an offer going in. So I just said I'd bring it up to you because it was a talking point. But yeah, I wouldn't put much expectation in this player coming into Liverpool anytime soon. So I'm going to ask you now in a poll where you think Liverpool are going to finish this season. So we've had the conversation about Gary Neville and his opinion. I've given my opinion many times. But I want to see what position you think Liverpool will finish this year. So bear with me. Just putting in the options now, folks. Bear with me. Right, so I'm giving you 4 options. First, second, third, or fourth or lower. So they're the options. Vote away. So pick first, second, third, or fourth or lower. Personally, I struggle to see us finishing outside of the top 3. That's just my own take on it. I think we will finish in some way, shape or form inside that top 3. Paul, thank you, pal. Paul, for your super chat. Let me just get it up on screen before I answer your question, bro. So, Paul has said, We still need to prove a number 6. Who would you go for? I'm going to hang on and say Ederson. You know, if Zubimendi becomes an option again, Paul, and he changes his mind, then look, I'm sure the club would consider that. But for me, Ederson would be the one from Atalanta that I wanted in the summer, and I would still love us to go and get now. They haven't had the greatest starts to their campaign. Obviously, they lost Coop Miners as well, so I wouldn't be expecting to be able to get him in the January window or anything. But if you wait until next summer, I would still look at him. There are probably a couple more, but off the top of my head, him, Varela, that's probably about it for me. So that was the same Andre in the Wolves game. Yes, it was. That was the guy that was playing at where was he playing for before he came across? Fluminense. Yeah, that was him. That was Andre Trinidad. Thank you, by the way. I got my ticketing update last night from the venue. We're looking really good on ticket sales so far. So thank you to everyone that's bought tickets to come and see us November the 15th at the Hot Water Comedy Club. If you haven't got yours already, I'm sure there's still time to get them. It's an all ages event. Tickets are priced at £20. And we look forward to seeing you guys November the 15th, where we're putting on a bigger, longer show than the last time. And we hope that you're going to come out and have a bit of fun with us during the November international break. And of course, we're here tonight with thanks to our sponsor, Surfshark. Remember, to get our exclusive offer, use the code Anfield Agenda, all one word, at checkout. Rachel said, my heart wants first, but my head says third. Yeah, I'm kind of along the same lines as you. I'll probably go second, Rachel, just to be pedantic. So, Mark has messaged me saying it's XGC for expected goals conceded, if you're talking about conceding goals and the expected ratio. Are you going to watch Bivol versus Beterbiev? Yes. I've been asked who I think wins a few times, and I don't see it going the distance, so I think Beterbiev. But they're both incredible boxers. Father Time has to catch up with Beterbiev at some point, but it hasn't yet. And he dispatched Callum Smith very easily. Watching Bivol, negate the tools of Canelo Alvarez was impressive as well, even though Canelo was going up to light heavyweight. So I'd probably say Beterbiev, but I don't think there's any result that would really surprise me because they're both great fighters. Jake, thank you, bro. Appreciate it. Lord Chan said, I think we'll get top 4 and a domestic cup. It'd be good for first season. So if Slot outdoes the 82 points that we spoke about that we got last season, to me that's a good first season for him. Imagine Slot pulls a Mourinho or Conte, would be incredible. Yeah, look, I'm working very hard not to get ahead of myself because we've had a good start to the season, and my brain keeps saying, Craig, it could be 7 for 7 now. Or sorry, 6 for 6 in the Premier League. Should probably be 6 for 6. That Forest game still isn't sitting well with me. But, again, I've liked the response. It's been nothing but victory since then, and long may that continue. But I also think it's fair to say that the bigger tests are definitely to come. For instance, let me go through some of the upcoming games. Over the next 2 months, we have Chelsea coming up in the league. Then we've got Leipzig in the Champions League. We've got Arsenal away. We've got Brighton at home, and we've got Brighton away in the League Cup. We've got Leverkusen in the Champions League. We've got Villa at home. We've got Southampton away. We've got Madrid at home in the Champions League, and we've got Manchester City as well. So we've lots of difficult games coming up between October and November, and this is going to give us a proper indication of where we're at. Right, Christchild, how are you? Said, evening, pals and gals. Are you aware Hazard did not play a single El Clasico in 4 years? No contest, Mo all day. I wasn't aware of that, mate, but I was aware of the fact that he showed up for his dream move. And remember, he's always said Real Madrid was his dream move. He showed up after being signed for €100 million overweight. And that's not me saying that. That's not my opinion. That was the manager's opinion. And that to me speaks volumes for the level of professionalism around him versus somebody like Salah or Ronaldo, even a Messi. You never seen Salah or Ronaldo showing up out of weight. Never. Or overweight. Never going to happen. And that is the difference for me there. It's the way these guys look after themselves. You know, Mohamed Salah is just a physical specimen of a man, never out of shape. Rachel, thank you for gifting a membership, mate. Appreciate you. Why do you think Klopp prefers Jones over Maka in the 10? I think probably because McAllister has a more well-rounded ability to play various roles in midfield. That would be my guess. I love the balance of our midfield tree. I think Jones can come in and replace Szoboszlai without as much of an upheaval as if he was expected to do maybe what McAllister does in midfield, which is, you know, the level of passing, for instance, that Alexis McAllister has. I don't see that range from Curtis Jones. But it's up to Jones this season to prove that he deserves to stay in and around this team and be knocking on the door for a start. He has a chance now, you know. At the moment, if we are to rotate a midfielder out, it looks like he's the most available anyway to come in and get an opportunity because Harvey Elliott's out. Endo just doesn't fit into the way that Arne Slot wants to play, so I think he's going to be used sparingly this season. Tyler Morton, not really sure what to expect around him for this season, but that's all I can really think of, Harry. Matt B said, even if we don't get number one, I'll certainly watch our games versus Everton. I remember what they shouted at Klopp back in April. Yeah, I don't want to talk about that game in April. It still haunts me that we lost to Goodison because they're so bad. I see we have our favourite kickoff time again on Saturday. Yeah, 12:30, unfortunately, Paul. At least it isn't coming off an international break, though. So we're at home against Bologna, and then we've got the 12:30 game on Saturday. So, you know, we'll see what Arne Slot does with his team selection, how many changes maybe he makes for it, but yeah, just another early one for us. But at least it isn't after an international break. I honestly believe when Harvey is fit, he deserves a start over Szoboszlai. Well, Arne did say that if he wasn't injured, he would probably have gotten opportunities at the minute with the amount of games that we have coming up. It's been very unfortunate for Harvey Elliott that he's picked up that injury. Cameron, how are you, my friend? Said, I wouldn't mind seeing Trainioni, Gravenberch, Maka starting against someone like Southampton. Oh, it's a difficult one because I get where you're coming from, but I don't want us to underestimate any teams. You know, look at the game against Forest. You can say whether that was a lack of preparation. No, probably wasn't that. Was it a lack of fight? Maybe a little bit, but I think maybe we overlooked them, and I don't want us to be doing that. So I think if Nioni is going to get chances this season, let it be in games where, you know, it's the League Cup or games where perhaps we're a couple of goals ahead and you're bringing them on for the last 15 or 20. So far, what do you prefer about Slot over Klopp? I prefer a defensive shape. I prefer the explanations from Arne Slot about why he's doing certain things. Some people feel that maybe he's giving away a little bit too information there, but I like how you can see Arne Slot's mind ticking over. I like Jurgen for many reasons, some of them being the emotional side of him, and that I do miss because Arne Slot's a very balanced character. You know, he doesn't get too heated up. Whereas with Jurgen, he's kind of more like me, a heart in your sleeve kind of guy, and I always love that about him. But under Arne, I think just that patience in the build-up play, not just going diagonal, hoping for a second ball or something, that more structured build-up, keep the ball until you see the exact pass. If it takes a minute or 2 minutes, so be it. And I think he pointed to the goal that Canade scored and the build-up play for that Jota was knocking it back and forth, and then eventually beat his man, took the opportunity and put the left-footed cross in. Will I be live tomorrow? No, I won't be. Tomorrow is day off live content because the Champions League games are on and most people are probably going to be watching Arsenal, PSG and stuff like that. So, no, we won't be going live tomorrow. Some other teams supporters like Slot, including some United fans. Well, look, he's not really done anything to rile up any other club's fans here, has he? You know? You look at Arteta as an example. You can see why we don't like him as Liverpool fans. But I don't think Arne Slot has really done anything to wind up opposition fans yet. Adam Brown, thank you, mate, for your super chat. Said, Salah clear of Eden Hazard every day for me. Where would you rank Salah with the likes of Robin or Ribery? I don't like the comparisons at all. Like, the only reason I really speak up about the Hazard stuff is because I think it's so ludicrous to even put them in the same sentence. But I don't know. I only look at Salah for his time at Liverpool and what it means to us. And he's written his own chapter in our folklore and our history and will always be spoken about as one of the greats. But I didn't pay too much attention to Ribery, Robin, players like that, because other than when we played against Chelsea or Bayern Munich or whatever, I didn't really watch much of them. You know, I seen Robin was very, 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 very good. You know, again, like Henry, you knew what he was going to do at times. Like Salah in the early days, you knew what he was going to do, but best of luck stopping him. Chelsea saying Palmer, the best player in the world, is hilarious. Well, Jamie Carragher, you know, just today or yesterday said he thinks that he's the best player in the Premier League and that he should be a regular starter for England. Now, look, it's not for me to say whether Cole Palmer should be a regular starter for England or not. You know, I'm Irish, so I don't give a shite what the English team does, but he is certainly making Manchester City look very foolish for selling him, because he's done wonders since he's gone into Chelsea. Like, his individual numbers are just so impressive. Mane or Barnes? Barnes. I swear somebody asked me this yesterday as well. Barnes, but I loved Mane. Anthony said, Arteta is an absolute clown. His Arsenal team is unbearable at times with play acting, time wasting, constantly harassing officials. That part of it, I don't think gets called out enough in the media, mate. I'm not even from the UK, and I have a bee in my bonnet about the almost will, want and desire of the media to have a London team competing for the league every year. As soon as any London team shows any kind of possibility for being challengers, look at Spurs last year, again Arsenal, they can't get on the back of it quick enough. And personally, my question is, when does Arteta start getting held to account for the money he spent and the lack of delivery of trophies? At what point does the conversation become, okay, he's taken Arsenal forward, but they have to start winning things? You know, if you're going to start comparing him as, you know, putting them second favourites for the league title as an example, stuff like that, well, he's got to deliver one of them, or it's a failure. An FA Cup is not enough to justify the praise and the money that's been invested in that Arsenal team. He's got to start delivering a league title or a Champions League, or I think that narrative has to change around the conversation. Would I take a young Eden Hazard? No, because of his lack of professionalism. Adam Brown, how are we again, mate? Let me just grab this comment up for you, bro. Embarrassing that Ten Lasso has won more major trophies than Arteta. I'm not counting Community Shields. It is, but I guess what I would say is, can't deny what you said about the two big trophies there. You know, he's won 2 domestic cups. But the inconsistency of United under Ten Hag is, well, it's embarrassing, quite frankly. You know, I'm going to bring you some numbers that I talked about yesterday. This is just a little taste of some of the big defeats that Manchester United fans have had to sit through under Ten Hag. 7-0 to us, 3-0 to us, 6-3 against City, 3-0 against City, 3-0 against Spurs, 2-0 against Spurs, 4-0 against Brentford, 3-0 against Sevilla, 3-0 against Bournemouth, 3-0 against Newcastle, and 4-0 against Palace. Now, whatever we say about Klopp, Arteta, or anybody else that's chasing down Pep and Man City, those type of results won't appear on their CVs. Maybe one, maybe two, but not that many in 3 years. It's shocking. And I don't understand how anybody, either Ineos or the fans or anybody else, can look at what Ten Hag is doing and think that there is any type of development there, any type of a process, any type of improvement. It isn't there. You know, there's minor little purple patches or victories in the FA Cup and stuff. But over the course of a season, they're currently 13th after spending a load of dough again. And he's asking for patience. United fans trolled us about Forest. They've some neck with the millions spent. I know, Tanya. And I agree with you. You know, 600 million is what Ten Hag has spent so far. Imagine we had Arne Slot to do that in the next 3 years. We won't see Arne Slot be given 600 million over the next 3 years. So let's check in on the poll that we put up. So we asked you guys, where will Liverpool finish this season? Kind of just basing this off the Gary Neville conversation that he doesn't think Liverpool are title contenders. In fact, if you go back to his predictions at the start of the season, he didn't have us finishing the Champions League places, which honestly I think is just bitterness from Gary Neville. I don't think he backed that up with any rhyme or reason. Like, how can you look at United, Liverpool and go, okay, Liverpool are definitely going to finish below United and United will be in the Champions League spots? What gave him that belief other than delusion? I mean, speaking of delusion, I think you guys are being too optimistic here as well, because so far in our poll, 44% of you guys think that Liverpool are going to finish first. I would probably be in the second or third category, but I love your optimism. Gary Neville clearly hates us. I mean, it's kind of what I said earlier on. I like listening to Gary talking about football, except when he's speaking about United or Liverpool. Then I zone out. You know, I love what him and Carragher have done with Monday Night Football. I think they've really taken on punditry to another level. But yeah, the delusion he has, and almost the hard-on he has for Arsenal at the minute, is weird as well. Like, the amount of praise Arsenal are getting showered on them by Neville week after week after week. Even some of it not really deserved. Like, their defence is the best in the league. Well, hi Gary, we've conceded the least amount of goals. Any praise there whatsoever? Let them write us off. It suits us best. Yep. Like, can you imagine? Right. Look at what Ten Hag did last year with United in the Champions League. They finished bottom of a pretty manageable group. Can you imagine if Arne Slot finishes outside the Champions League knockout round places? So Liverpool finished 25th or below in this league table. Do you think that would go without being noticed by Liverpool fans and opposition fans? It would be everywhere. We would be slaughtered for it. And he finishes bottom of a bang average group, which kind of fucks over everyone, because them and Newcastle doing so poorly wrecked the rankings, the coefficient for English clubs, meaning there was only 4 spots for the Champions League this year. It just, the excuse making and the mental gymnastics that people are having to do to try and justify Ten Hag's existence. I'm going to tell you why Ten Hag's still in a job at United. I'm going to tell it for you nice and clearly so everybody can hear me. United can't afford to fucking sack him, and they can't find anybody else to come in and do the job. That is why he is still at Manchester United, and I don't care what Neville said, Radcliffe says, or anybody else says. If they had found a manager in the summer like Thomas Tuchel or anybody else who was willing to put up with the crap that's going on at Manchester United, Ten Hag would have been gone bye-bye. But between that and the 17 million quid it's going to cost to sack him, that's why he's still Manchester United manager. Because I refuse to believe anybody with a brain cell that's looked at his Manchester United team believes in him. I don't believe that. I cannot get my head around that, because there's no reason to believe in him. There's no reason for optimism. What players has he improved? What players has he developed onto the next level? Apart from Mainu, who he probably got lucky, fell into his lap coming through the academy. What players has Ten Hag made better? I would argue few to none. Harry said, we have better team compared to Arsenal, slightly. I think we have a deeper squad a little bit, is what I would say as well. I think us and Arsenal, there's not much between us, if I'm being really honest with you. Which is why I just don't understand this willingness from certain parts of the media to just completely write us off and hype up Arsenal to bits. Roosba, thank you again for your super chat, bro. Said, I'm worried we don't have the squad depth to deal with the number of games in the next 2 months. We have one number 6, one decent left back. Thoughts? I mean, let me just rewind back to the summer, my friend, where I was very, very, very outspoken about this lack of squad depth and will continue to say the same thing. It will cost us. You're absolutely right. The lack of depth in that midfield area, the lack of centre-back options will cost us. The only question for us fans is, how much is it going to cost us? Is it going to be a case where it's a serious injury that costs us, or a little drop in form that costs us? But that lack of options, I absolutely believe will cost us, mate. And that's why I was so angry over the summer. That's why I was spitting fire on here all through the transfer window. And by the way, let me just say something. From a personal level, I actually lost friends and people that I was quite close to, or at least fond with, because of calling out the owners. I've had people who I've been in a friendly relationship with for years just blackball me because I've started calling out the owners around the lack of transfer money. And I don't understand it, because I think I'm doing what needs to be done, and I think I'm saying what needs to be said. I don't hate people for the sake of it. I don't go in on people for the sake of it. But again, like I said about United and Ten Hag, look at our owners in the transfer business and tell me that they're doing all they can do. I don't understand how anybody can look at that part of it and think that the owners aren't underinvesting in the squad. It's as clear as day to me, and I'll never understand it. You can absolutely say stuff like they haven't been the worst owners, and I've never said that they are. My gripe with them has always been the very same two things. The Super League, trying to sell us down the river and shaft us without any consultation to the manager, to the supporters, to the players, anything. Just woke up one day and were told, you're doing this tough shit. That didn't sit well with me. They weren't on their own doing that though. You know, you can look at United's owners, you can look at Arsenal's owners. Again, same conversation. But add that to the lack of transfer funds that they've backed the managers with compared to the clubs around us. And I don't even think it shouldn't be a debate that they need to be called out for it. They absolutely underinvest in the squad, 100%. And if people don't see that, I just wonder why. Like, why continually go to bat for these owners when the proof of the pudding is in the eating and they just haven't spent the money? Would you ever consider having fans on the channel similar to AFTV back in the day? Yes and no. So I do love the idea of giving our community an opportunity to contribute to the channel. But it's a case of trying to balance that with not wanting to go down the kind of Jeremy Kyle car crash route type of content, which isn't my cup of tea, to be fair. Others may think differently about me, but yeah, I wouldn't rule it out, but it would have to be done in a kind of more measured manner for me. David said, some people see the profit we make and haven't got us into debt, etc., and think that's good enough. None of them thinks will make us regular winners of the big things. Exactly. Like, we didn't fall in love with the Moores family. We fell in love with Liverpool Football Club, not the previous owners. We didn't fall in love with Hicks and Gillette. You know, you didn't fall in love with football because of owners. You fell in love because of the coaches and the players and your fellow fans. And these owners have a history of coming in, having early success and then underinvesting. Look at the Red Sox, look at Liverpool and tell me I'm wrong. This is why I will continue to call them out, because I don't give a fuck if John W. Henry doesn't let me have an interview with a player or Klopp. I don't care. My job's to represent the fan base, and I think that they need to be called out on that. And I'm forever going to do it because it's my genuine, heartfelt opinion. Do you think we get someone in January? Unsure. If the right option came up, yes. For instance, again, I'm not expecting this to happen, but if Zubimendi changed his mind in January, I could see Liverpool finishing that deal and getting it done. But it's a difficult market to operate in. You usually pay a premium because it's desperation stakes at that point. So unless there's a very serious injury, I wouldn't be expecting too much to be done in January, in all honesty. But if an option comes, I'm going to go to the opportunistic thing again. I think you're best doing your business in the summer where possible, but you never know. It's shocking teams like West Ham and Brighton spending more money though. I know. That's what I keep saying. Like, here's my view of it, right? So we've got this group of owners who were constantly being told are really good with commercial stuff, have moved Liverpool on leaps and bounds, have extended the two main stands, have brought in loads of new commercial partners, and we're constantly told about how clever they are from the financial side of it. But the question that we fans have is, when does that translate onto the pitch? When do we see Liverpool go out there and spend 200 or 300 million quid in a window? Net. That's the question. Because you can pat them on the back for all the other stuff, but unless us as fans are seeing this reflected on the pitch or with the calibre of signings, then what's the point? What's the point in hearing about the Nike deal or the extra revenue from match day tickets with the new stands or the new commercial partnerships? All of that means diddly squat to us fans unless we see investment in the playing squad. And we made a profit this summer. We, with a new manager coming into the club, turned a profit in the transfer market. And we didn't turn a profit because we sold a player for tens of millions off elsewhere. We turned a profit because the cheap fucks wouldn't buy anyone. We tried to get a player in and it didn't work. And we did have no plan B, and there was no centre back, and there was no rhyme or reason for it. And I don't get it. I don't get how that doesn't deserve to be called out by anyone, be it the biggest apologist of FSG or the most harsh critic of FSG. I think factually it's correct to look back and see our net spend has been pathetic compared to other clubs in and around us. 35, 40 million quid net spend on average. Not good enough for a club like Liverpool Football Club. Just won't spend, Craig. That's it. Say no more to say. Exactly. That's my point, you know. It's very frustrating when you finish second to City so many times, or you come up short against Real Madrid, and in your heart to heart as a fan, your mind immediately goes back to, what if we got this player in? Would the season have been different? And that's, I guess, an unquantifiable question that we can't ever answer. But nobody can tell me that you don't look back at Kloppo's time and think we could have done one or two more trophies with a bit more investment in the squad. And that's an indictment of the owners for me. If you answer that question, yes, that's an indictment of the owners. FSG are good owners. They are solid owners, absolutely. They've done so many good things for the club. They have made sure we're on a very steady financial foothold. We're in no trouble or no worries with PSR, FFP, any of that kind of stuff. And that deserves credit. And getting Liverpool back to being a regular Champions League contributor and challenging for titles, they deserve credit for that. They brought in Jurgen Klopp. They deserve credit for that. But it doesn't mean that they get away with everything else. You know, if a player had 5 good seasons and then was having a shit season, we're going to say he's having a shit season. Why? Same with the owners. Every time we've spent big, it's pretty much outside of the Darwin deal because we've brought in a load of money. Again, you had our former goalkeeping coach himself come out and say that we wouldn't have signed Alisson if we signed Fekir because the money wouldn't have been there. George Edwards, how are you, bro? Said, thank you so much for everything. I love the channel so much. Hope you're doing great and the family is great too. Thank you. I'm good, thank you, mate. Yes, very good. And I appreciate your continued support and the support of everybody else in our community because I look forward to these streams every single night, mate. I do. I love coming on and chatting with you all. Even on quiet days like today where there's not too much real hard-hitting Liverpool news, I just look forward to the chats. And 13 months with us as well, mate. Thank you. That's an incredible level of support. Appreciate that. Imagine we lose Trent, VVD, Salah. Money needed to even attempt to replace that talent will certainly not be there under these owners. I mean, I've said this a few times as well, and I agree with you. Even if we lost one of those 3, it's still a big undertaking to replace them. And that's before we still, if we lost Trent, you then have to go out there and bring in another right back. And that's before you address the other 2 areas of concern that we have, which is centre back and central midfield. So you're right. You know, if we do lose some of these guys, do we have faith that they're going to go out there to spend the money to replace them to a quality level? I don't. That next summer war chest must be close to $1 billion by now. What gets me is that people believe that shit every year. Oh, next summer. Oh, Liverpool are... The window won't have even closed and already the articles are being written by the FSG friendly sections of the media that will be talking about the big plans that we have for the future. And then the future comes around and you can pick any excuse you want and insert it in there and rinse and repeat and it's all the same again. I want to move in Galway. It would be hard to find something to work. No idea. Don't know much about Galway, to be honest with you, mate. Yeah, sorry. I can't be of more help. I've only been in Galway a handful of times. What do you think the chances are that all 3 sign an extension? Oh, I can see a world where Virgil and Trent do. It's the Salah one that I'm not sure of. Because again, in my head, I just have the whole Michael Edwards thing and his history of really not wanting to put a load of dough into players who are potentially past their best, even if they're still performing to a high level. It would be a lovely, pleasant surprise to to wake up one day and read that all 3 are done. I'd be very grateful if that was the case, and I would have no issues coming on here to thank Edwards, Hughes, the owners or whatever for putting that money forward for the players. That's all. That's the fairest I can be on it. You know, I'd be more surprised if they're all done than if they all aren't done. To be fair, I think that's the most honest I can be. Very late today. Would you mind doing a quick recap of the news? Absolutely, no problem, my friend. 1 second. So, we spoke about the whole Hazard Salah debate, which I hope we can put to bed now, because via Sport Bible, Hazard has said in the question that was put to him, who is better, you or Mo Salah? He answered Salah. So I think that puts to bed that debate. Gary Neville, speaking after our victory over Wolves, was saying this about our chances of winning the league. They're going to have a good season, and it looks like they maybe get Champions League football. I don't feel like I was watching title winners against Wolves, being honest with you. They're well below Arsenal and City, but I don't think that's shocking anybody. Well, it's shocking me, Gary, because I don't see how we're well below Arsenal and City. Certainly City, you could say, were lesser favourites, and I'd give you that. But well below Arsenal? Not so sure about that one. So we spoke about that a little bit. Then we went into the XG differential for this season so far. Sky Sports put up a good stat on this. It's on the website if you want to have a look at it. Manchester United are the worst culprits. They are underperforming their XG by almost 5.5 goals. So their XG is 10.55 and their underperforming, or their XG differential, is minus 5.55. Next on the list, Southampton, who have an XG of 7.09 and they're underperforming because they're minus 5.09. Liverpool, we're close to being on par. We have scored 12 goals. Our XG shows we should have scored 12.64. So technically we're underperforming it by about half a goal. But if you look down the other end of the table, Arsenal have scored 12 goals, but XG shows they should have probably only scored 10.2. So they're outperforming their XG by 1 3/4 goals. Chelsea, again, down there as well. They have scored 15 goals. Their XG is 12.2, so they're outperforming their XG by 2.8 goals. I think that's pretty much it with the big hitters. Where are Spurs? Spurs have scored 12. Their XG shows they should have scored 13.7, so they're underperforming by just over 1.5 goals. Even for penny pinching owners, surely it makes sense to get those 3 contracts sorted instead of the alternative. Not sure the club is doing, because this could be done long ago. Exactly. Anthony, let's look at it and break it down for a minute. This could probably be a good clip for you, Connor, by the way. So, Anthony, let's look at it and break down what you've said and take those 3 players individually and make the arguments for and against. So, Trent, let's start with the obvious one. Well, the argument for: baller, local boy, wants to captain the club, in the prime of his career now, coming in at 25 years of age. So, loads going for him. Against giving him a contract extension? I don't see much. I don't see many genuine reasons not to give him one. You know, a lot of money. Okay, fair enough. Probably going to have to get a pretty big pay rise. Fair enough. I think that's a no-brainer, and I think it's inexcusable that we've gotten to this point and Trent Alexander-Arnold hasn't been given an offer that we're aware of yet. It's just madness. So that one is the one that riles me up the most as a Liverpool fan, and one that I've yet to see anybody give me a justifiable reason as to why it's taken this long. I've heard all the excuses. Klopp left, he wanted to see what was going to happen, wanted to see who the new manager was going to be, wanted to see what Arne Slot was like, wanted to see if Liverpool are still going to be competitive. All of these things that we've heard about. The club can only answer them by showing that they are serious about winning. And part of that will be giving him a new deal. And of course, tying down the players who are still contributing. So the club have to match his ambition. His ambition is that he wants to win trophies and build a legacy. And I don't see why the club shouldn't be able to match that ambition. So for Trent, stonewall, give him a new deal. It's just stop the madness, please. Mohamed Salah, arguments for his legacy at the club. Still delivering numbers now. His influence in and around the team. His physical condition shows no sign of deteriorating. Arguments against: a lot of money. Potentially length of contract. Would you give him 3 more years? That's asking a lot if you're asking me. So with Mo, balancing act. Not really sure which way people think it should go. I would personally offer him a 2-year contract extension. I wouldn't give him a pay rise. I'd probably try and keep him in and around what he's on now. And that would mean job done for me. And then I think if Mo leaves after that in 3 years' time, I think we'll have certainly seen the best of him and wouldn't really be worried about him going off elsewhere and doing huge numbers. Still plenty of time for him to go to the MLS or the Saudi Pro League or wherever he wants to go. But I think we need to show him that we want to keep competing and that he's a part of that. So I'd like to see him given that new deal. But if he was asking for a pay rise, if he was asking for a long-term contract of more than 2 years, then I think the club have valid concerns. because you don't want a Mesut Ozil situation developing there. So I think I can understand the club's hesitation here because we don't know what the parameters of the conversation are. With Virgil, I think again it's a no-brainer. Last season, he had statistically one of his better seasons. The one before, he was still feeling the effects of the ACL. He admitted that himself. He is a leader, he is a captain, and he's playing really, really well. He's building up a lovely partnership with Canade as well. Kwanzaa coming in alongside. And nothing to me shows that Virgil is going to fall off a cliff performance-wise in the next year or two. He doesn't rely on his pace too much. He relies on his reading of the game, his aerial ability, and his quality on the ball. And I don't think that they're going to change anytime soon. So, again, with Virgil, I would say not too much of a pay rise. Maybe try to keep him in and around the same numbers. Again, be respectful with the amount of years. Give him 2 with an option of a third. That's where I'm at with the contract extensions. I think all 3 should be done. I think the club can certainly, around Mo and Virgil, feel comfortable with 2 years as a starting point for these negotiations. But Trent is the one that galls me the most because we've opened the door to him leaving for free. That will go down as one of the most idiotic deals that this football club has failed to do. Imagine a world where we see Trent leaving for Real Madrid for free. For free. It's one thing if Trent left and we got 100 million. At least you can console yourself knowing that Liverpool got a load of dough for him. But to let a kid who grew up dreaming about captaining the club and has shown he belongs at the top level, so much so that Real Madrid, the European champions, are sniffing around wanting him. I think it looks badly on the club, reflects badly on the club that this situation is where it is. And that's where I'm at with it anyway. What about Robertson? I do think we certainly need to start looking to the future after Andy Robertson. I've been saying this for about 18 months. I don't see Costas being the successor. And that should always be the aim. You know, if you bring in somebody like Costas, yes, they'll deputise for Robbo. But you should also look to think, are they going to be the natural successor? Like we're trying to do with a goalkeeper. Like Kwanzaa there as well with regards to the future. He'll be a natural successor to have one of those 2 starting berths at centre-back. I don't think we can say that about Costas. So, yes, we definitely need to improve in that position. And I think Robbo, I'm starting to question if his best days are behind him. I still think he can add to the team. I still think he's a good character to have around. But he's no longer undroppable, in my opinion, if you have a real competitor there to challenge him. And again, when I talk about challenging, it lifts up everybody. You know, on the training pitch, you guys will know this. If you're playing for a club and a new player comes in and they're kind of doing well, it lifts everyone's levels up because you know that you could be dropped at any time. Another one is Canade. I think we've seen more than enough now to say that Ibu deserves a contract extension, deserves a pay rise, and deserves to be looked at as a future captain, maybe vice captain, but certainly a future leader of the defence. So they're the 5 or 6 that I think we need to look at. Right side, if we tie down Trent, then I think between him and Bradley, we've got it covered. I think we're sound. Goalkeeper wise, it's interesting because Mamardashvili coming in means what? Well, does it mean Kelleher's going to leave? Maybe. And if Kelleher's going to leave, does that mean we're also going to lose Alisson at some point in the near future? If so, what's the plan for the backup keeper? Is it going to be Pitaluga? It's probably not going to be Yaros because his contract's also up at the end of this season. So I've got questions around the longer term structure of the goalkeeping department as well. So that's where I'm at. They're my points around the contract extensions. What problems do you guys see coming up and what would you like to see addressed outside of the obvious 3? Ibu needs to cut out the silly mistakes. Yes, he does. But remember, he's still what? 23, 24? So again, we're talking about a relatively young centre-back here. But he does, you're right. There are certain, and we need to be mindful of the knocks and injuries if he's overplayed as well. That Brazilian fellow we have could be second choice keeper. Yeah, but he needs to show that he is at the level. And to be fair to Pitaluga, I'm not seeing it yet. I've not seen any signs that he is definitely ready to come in and play if we needed him. I'm not at the level yet where I think I'd feel confident enough in him. Definitely a left back, Craig. I agree with you there, said Mark Davies. Yeah, it's just to look to the future, isn't it? You know, Robbo won't be around forever. You know, and I don't think there's any natural successor there ready to come in the way maybe Bradley was showing signs of coming through, pushing Trent on the right. A good Maka backup is needed as well, said Shub. Well, look, we do have some players like Bajcetic, Trainioni, other young midfielders, Morton, who's at the club, where we don't really know what direction their careers are going to go in the future. I'm still a little bit salty about selling Bobby Clark, to be honest with you, because I've always felt Bobby Clark served us well when he played and looked like he was a very solid pro. So a little bit surprised to have seen him sold in the summer. So Canade is what? Some people are saying 24, some people are saying 25. So still probably got 9 to 10 years left at the top level, Canade. Plenty of time there. If you look at him and Kwanzaa, I mean, wow. You know, you could have a centre-back pair in there for years to come. Throw in a proper left-sided centre-back, and the competition there is going to be great. Would you take Ramsdale as a backup keeper? No, you'd pay too much money for him to be coming as a backup keeper. I think there'd be better options out there. We do need a new centre-back, I reckon, as obviously Van Dijk is getting older. Agreed. You know, I feel really sorry for Joe Gomez in all of this scenario because Joe didn't get a move away in the summer, and he's not even looking like he's going to get too much game time this season. So I feel bad for Joe. Joe was kept around this summer, so he is technically, I guess, the fourth centre-back option. We know he can play in full-back positions as well. But if we lost Joe, his versatility will be a huge loss to the squad as well. He's 25, turns 26 May of next year. So, yeah, 25 then. So Ibu probably has between 8 to 10 years left at the top level. And hopefully, they're years that we see him at Liverpool Football Club. Am I a bit sad for looking at United's YouTube channel to watch the meltdown? At what point does it get tiring, though? You know, United have been in constant crisis since I've started making content. I'm not even joking about that. Like, I'm not laughing when I say I'd be a millionaire if I was a United fan. I don't say that lightly, and I don't say that as a joke. I would be a millionaire if I was a Manchester United fan. Because it's just a never-ending circus. It's never-ending drama. Every day, column inches dedicated to United and the meltdown. And it's just rinse and repeat. New manager, same bullshit, same problems. So, yeah, I mean, if you're a United content creator, it's a gold mine, quite frankly. George said, Saturday night was woeful. The manager watched us sink for me. We have 5 subs. Again, are we talking... We're talking about Liverpool's game on Saturday night. Right. Certainly understand some of the... I think he got the first substitution spot on. I think taking off Szoboszlai, bringing on Jones... and if I remember correctly, he took off Diaz and brought on Gakpo. I think that was the first 2 changes. I've no complaints about them. Leaving Salah on, I feel like he could have probably been taken off, if I'm being honest. Outside of that, Gomez came on, got a few minutes. I never felt, once we went ahead, that we were going to concede. In all honesty, maybe I'm deluded here, but I felt quite comfortable that we'd see that game out at 2-1. I don't think the Wolves were causing us too many concerns. Yeah, that's my reading of the situation against Wolves anyway. As much as I enjoyed United's downfall, I kind of feel sorry for them now. as I said the other night, sometimes it feels like kicking a puppy when you're talking about United. Like, and when you find yourself as a Liverpool fan starting to feel a little bit sorry for your United mates, that's a weird position, because I'm programmed to go in on my United supporting friends at every opportunity. But even now I'll be like, will I message Strawdy, or is it too low? Like, is it too much to stick the knife in when they're already getting another beating? So yeah, I found myself in that tricky position as well of, am I going a bit too hard on these guys at times? Oh, I'd seen that there was another former United Stand presenter who'd had a little bit to say about Goldbridge again today, and I guess I want to address it for a second if I can, but I need to give a context. So there was a tweet from Faz, who was a former United Stand presenter, and in this tweet Faz said, "You have blood on your hands, Mark Goldbridge. Send the letters. Your ego and pride won't allow you to say where you went wrong. None of us are bitter. You're a gaslighter. We're not obsessed with you. We're obsessed with the truth, calling out what we see for what it is." Now, I don't know Faz. I've never had a conversation with Faz. I've never had any interaction with Faz. I don't know anything about the guy. But what I will say is, what he said in that post, I agree with 100%. Every single bit of it. Particularly this second part of his post, where he says, "None of us are bitter. You're a gaslighter. We're not obsessed with you. We're obsessed with the truth." Speaking about my own experiences with that little man, I think what he said there is correct. That's the only response he has, is to say that people are jealous of him. No, they're not. Exactly what Faz said is true. He gaslights, he's full of shit, and what he says publicly and what's done privately are very different things. For instance, who in YouTube sends legal letters threatening people? I've been in this industry 6.5 years, and I've never seen it happen, except when it happened to us from him, and it happened to Adam from him. I don't know if Faz has gotten a legal letter or not. Don't know the guy. But I want to say to you this. What he said there is exactly how I feel as well. And I would suggest many others. So without knowing Faz, without having a conversation with Faz, I can certainly empathise with what he said there. George said, "Big turnaround on Ibu. In pre-season, you were contemplating Ibu could go." Again, you say this like Ibu didn't have a shit summer. So I'm happy to own what I say, but I think we need to look at the snapshot in time. And Ibu had a very poor summer, wasn't really utilised at all in the Euros, was struggling with an injury, had come off the end of a season with us where he had that same injury that was stopping him from being able to be utilised by the manager. So at that moment in time, I think what I said was pretty balanced. But now, when he's come in, had a great start to the season this season, again, to my credit, have I said he hasn't? Have I done anything other than praise him? Opinions change. They evolve along with the player's form, availability for the manager. Nothing is forever. So what I always say to people is, if I have an agenda against somebody that never changes, despite evidence to the contrary, then by all means come at me. But I give you my opinion at that moment in time. For instance, Trent. I was all for selling Trent 2 years ago when he was strolling around the pitch, having rings ran around him by Luka Modric, looking like he couldn't give a shit out there. And we were all fuming about it. But he's knuckled down and changed. I don't understand it. Everybody's opinions change based off what we're seeing. Isn't that normal? I'll not judge Slot on this season, said Howard, because he's the new season, he's new next season when teams know what to expect from him. We'll see. Yeah, fair. For me, my only expectation is the goal that Arne Slot set himself, which is to try and get past last season's points total, which was 82 points. So if we can do that, then I'm happy with it, to be honest with you. David, thank you, David, for your super chat. I'm not sure if I brought this up or not, mate, but I will now. So love the channel, Craig. Keep up the great work, YNWA. And thank you, David. I appreciate your support, mate. Thank you very much. Mark as well. Thank you, Mark. Ref Watch notes in the app, like and sub. Oh, I'd seen Ref Watch earlier, Mark, and I don't even want to bring myself to talk about it, bro, because I'm fed up of it. I'm fed up of having to listen to referees' opinions every week, because VAR was supposed to be the thing that stopped the conversation about referee performances, and all it's done is give us a cottage industry where the likes of Dermot Gallagher and Mike Dean are still able to spout their opinions and their influence over footballing minds, despite at times the factual evidence that we can see with our own two eyes. So yeah, I'm fed up of listening to referees, in all honesty, mate. I'm sick of listening to them. How can I, as a paying viewer, look at Mike Dean giving us his understanding of the laws and rules of the game, feeling like he can speak with credibility, knowing this is the same Mike Dean that is admitted not doing his job, not sending his mate to the monitor because he didn't want him to get in trouble? And what do Sky do? Do they go, well, this guy's clearly not somebody whose opinion can be trusted? No, they give him a fucking job. They bring him on Soccer Saturday and give him the platform to continue to spout his bullshit. I don't get it. He should be, in my opinion, in front of a board explaining his decision and explaining his statement as to why he didn't do his job. When I see Clattenburg talking about the referee in our game against Milan should give some handy little soft free kicks to AC Milan to quieten down the crowd, what the actual fuck? It's not the referee's job to manage the crowd. It's the referee's job to manage what's going on the pitch. And he shouldn't be influenced by the noise of the crowd, a manager on the sideline, or anything else other than the evidence that's in front of him. To hear a former high-level referee say that is disgusting. And again, where's the accountability to these lads? I don't understand it. Who's the pundit you've the most time for? Pundit-wise, Ali McCoist. I really enjoy listening to Ali McCoist. I think when Ali McCoist speaks about football, you can feel the enthusiasm that we as fans have. You can feel the genuine joy and love for the game of football. So I think Ali McCoist is a really good pundit. I think Gary Neville, outside of speaking about Liverpool and United, if you park up those two, I think he's a very good pundit. Who else have I enjoyed? Sometimes I like listening to Rio Ferdinand. Sometimes I think, when he's talking about United or us, out the window. But to see him break down defensive situations, especially when he was on TNT Sports and the Champions League nights, I got some good information from him. I thought he was very well able to articulate, defensive posture and why you do certain things in a certain way. I'm looking to be educated and informed by a pundit. I'm looking to discover things that I didn't know about or angles of stuff I haven't seen. And some of them I think are very well able to do that. And then you've got people like Roy Keane who are just doing what exactly other than criticising? I want my pundit to inform me, educate me, and bring me on a journey with them. And yeah, so they're the ones I think have done okay. There are other ones as well, though, if I'm being honest with you, that I think are good pundits. Then there are ones that I don't mind, like Micah Richards. I don't mind him. I think Micah Richards looks like a nice fella. Don't mind him at all. But yeah, that'd be, for me, McCoist right up there. Right up there. Sydney thinks Roy Keane is great. I just say, what does he do? Like, I don't remember watching a game where Roy Keane has spoken about the art of being a midfielder and what a player should have done in this position or that position, or why a player was 5 yards in the wrong direction, or why he should have made this pass instead of that pass. All I ever hear from Keane is criticism. That's it. Just moan. Like Souness. Just come on and moan. I don't personally buy into that. I don't think that's adding anything to punditry. Saint and Greavesy. Yeah, that was brilliant back in the day. Maybe you should ask Gary Sourface Neville if United are contenders. I would do if I was ever invited on the overlap, but you know, I'm in the being frozen out category there. Ian Wright. I like Ian Wright, Gary. Yeah, I think Ian Wright's a good pundit as well. I don't know if I like Wrighty because I know he has a soft spot for Liverpool, but I do find that Ian Wright always talks sense, you know. And again, speaking about passion for the game, you can hear it in Ian Wright when he speaks about it, as well as the knowledge, of course. Yeah, so that's a good shout. I think Ian Wright's a good pundit as well. Rio Ferdinand, no. Gary Neville, no. Roy Keane, no. The only one I like is Ian Wright, said Rachel. Carragher, look, again, like I've said about Neville, I think Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville with Monday Night Football have brought great insight to punditry. I do. Yeah, I like Neville and Carragher both as pundits. Sometimes I disagree with Jamie's takes on Liverpool, but overall, I think Jamie Carragher's a good pundit. Who do you have finishing fourth? So it's a good question, mate. I think it's between Chelsea and Villa. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh there on Newcastle, but I feel like it'll be between Chelsea and Villa for the fourth spot. If I had to pick one right now, probably just Chelsea. Just look at the firepower that they have across their squad. I think maybe just Chelsea, but it'll be an interesting one. Right, so I'm going to end the poll that we put up earlier on, and 47% of you very optimistic Reds believe Liverpool will finish first. Sometimes if Alan Shearer comes on, I'll certainly watch him. I find him a little bit bitter at times about us. You know, I've watched him at times and I just feel like he just has a chip on his shoulder about Liverpool. And certainly when it comes to Newcastle stuff, do you know what? The one thing I really strongly disagreed with Rio Ferdinand on, and I still can't believe to this day he said it, was defending Mike Ashley to Newcastle fans. That I would strongly disagree with Rio on. I don't understand how he could defend Ashley's tenure to Newcastle fans as anything other than shambolic. Those fans, Newcastle fans, deserved better. Opinions on Dion Dublin. He always seems like a nice man, Dion Dublin. Am I right in saying he invented a type of drum? I don't know why, but I have it in my head that I've seen something before that he invented a particular type of drum, or certainly marketed a particular type of drum. I don't know why I have that in my head. Maybe I'm wrong. Yuval said it's obvious Neville despises us, probably because we destroyed United many occasions. Steve Nicol. I don't see too much of Steve Nicol because I'm not watching American channels, but if I was to sum up him in one word, gobshite. I'm being honest. What I've seen of Nicol, I think he's cantankerous just for the sake of it. Do I like milkshakes? Of course I do. See you on the 20th. 15th, Rob. 15th and Rob, mate. 15th. I was thinking the 20th. Am I wrong here? 15th, bro. 15th. Shay Given is awesome as well. Yeah, I'm enjoying Shay Given's punditry. I am. I'm still getting used to what's his face? Theo Walcott. I'm still getting used to him as a pundit. I'm not sure what to make of him yet. Who else have I seen as pundits? Not really mad on Ashley, what's his face, that used to play for Swansea. Not really mad on him as a pundit. I don't think he's great. Sturridge. I love Studge. I do. I love Daniel Sturridge. I love that Daniel Sturridge is just authentically him. You know, he is Daniel Sturridge. That is Studge. That is him. Ashley Williams. Yes, that's the dude's name. What's your prediction for Bologna? Well, the preview's up on the channel if you get a chance to watch it. I went for a convincing 4-0 win, in all honesty. Bologna are not in great form this season. Coming into this game, I don't think they have a win in their last 3, if I'm not wrong. Working off memory here because I don't have the graphic in front of me. Karen Carney. I can't remember too much about Karen Carney, to be honest. I think Sue Smith talks sense most of the time. I don't mind Sue Smith on Sky. Who else has been good? Do you know what? Emma Hayes I always like listening to. As just speaking about the game, I always thought Emma Hayes, the former Chelsea manager, now US women's national team manager, I thought a lot of the time she spoke very well about the game as well. Thanks for a great programme from Copenhagen, Denmark. Torben, thank you, sir, for being with us. Appreciate your support. Michael Owen. I'm going to be honest with you and say I'm biased to dislike Michael Owen. So I'm probably not going to give you a fair answer on what I think of Michael Owen as a pundit because I don't like him very much. What's this one? So, yeah, I've seen that stat as well, actually. So, Mark just sent me a stat, and basically it's, how is Ten Hag getting away with this? So, it was Gary Neville's record of Valencia, which was 28 games, 11 losses, 39 goals scored, 39 goals conceded. Ten Hag's last 28 games at United, 28 games, 13 losses, which is 2 more than Gary Neville, 35 goals scored, which is 4 less than Gary Neville had at Valencia, with 45 goals conceded, which is 6 more than Gary Neville conceded at Valencia. So, you know, it's interesting to show that comparison. Right, I'm going to say goodnight, folks, and I won't see you tomorrow because I'll just be recording a video tomorrow. There'll be no live content, so I will catch up with you guys on Wednesday. Of course, we'll be live at 7 o'clock for the game against Bologna. Thank you again to our sponsor, Surfshark. Don't forget that you can get that fantastic offer from Surfshark by entering the code Anfield Agenda, all one word, at checkout, or scan the QR code in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Appreciate you guys for joining me tonight. Enjoy it tomorrow. Champions League is back. Arsenal PSG should be a belter of a game if you're looking for something to watch. And I will catch up with you on Wednesday. Much love. Bye-bye.